Okay, so I think we can start now. First up, Happy New Year to everybody. We're so glad that we're able to make it in the first week of January. This is the start of the year. And although we were active with Limbic Art last year, we want to do something different this year. And of course, one person cannot do it. We have to help each other if we want to make to move really something good like this year. So um, we're glad that Ron joined us tonight. By the way, if you don't know it yet, yeah, Ron is our upline. So we can always ask for support and help from him, just in case you're getting some some problem, or you're getting some questions that you cannot handle. You can always tell me, or you can contact Ron directly, just in case. And he's very much willing to help each one of us. So we call our group quantum energizers because we believe the product that we are promoting is quantum energy product. Okay, and actually, this kind of webinar we started a few weeks ago, um, and our objective is to reach the Filipino community. I think this is our opportunity to maybe ask Ron regarding. I know many of you here are new, and so many questions regarding the technology. Just like me, when I was starting, there are lot of skepticism, lots of questions, and Ron has been involved with this project since the very beginning with Dr. Cook. So he very much know about the technology, and that is one thing that he can probably help us answer whatever question you have. So I think now I can give the microphone to Ron to say something regarding the Limbic arc. So Ron, you can go ahead.
Okay. First of all, Happy New Year's to everybody. I hope we're going to have a great and prosperous year this year. I think all of us will. As many of you have experienced many times, in fact, I'm going to share with you an experience I had over the last few weeks with three people that I've had the opportunity that I didn't know before. They live relatively close to where I live, and we had conversations, and two of those individuals really embraced the technology. When I started telling them about the technology, they were really interested and wanting to learn more. One of them, not so much. And we want to talk to you about what we can do and say to get people's attention and interest. By the way, over the last week or so, I've had an opportunity, and I haven't stopped working on creating formulas. There's several of them that I've created, and I'm going to be making those available this week. One of them, of course, what's the number one thing most people do this time of year as a New Year's resolution? What's the most common thing you think? It's probably they want to lose weight, huh? I think that's the number one resolution almost everywhere. Everybody says, okay, this year for the first time, I'm going to lose that 10, 20, 30 pounds, whatever it is, and I'm going to do it, right? And well, look, must be 1,000 formulas and products that live out in the world out there that address what's the most effective way to lose weight, right? And losing weight is a good thing. I mean, we know. In fact, I just before I got on this Zoom meeting, I was just watching television in the news, and they're talking about people, with the COVID thing that occupies all the time minds of people out there. They're saying that the number one cause of people being infected and dying of COVID are those who are overweight. Two things, they connected overweight and diabetes, okay? And so those are important things. I mean, people, and as we get older, it's easy to gain weight, isn't it? It's just, you can't lose the weight like you did when we were younger, right? And so what I've done is I had a study come to me, which I do all the time. Every week I have information that comes to me all over the world, because I've been doing this for over 30 years. And in this one study, it happened to be, about how effective this formula was to help people lose weight. And I'm thinking, okay, it's got my attention. I'll read that one. And so I start going into the details of it. And I found out something. I found out that there's actually two studies, two different formulas. And by the way, I combined them together. What the heck? I combined both of these studies together and created one formula. But the major theme of this one formula were the people who lived, I think was Okinawa, Japan. Okay. Now these are residents of Okinawa, Japan, and they observed the kinds of things or lifestyles and realized that, man, people live to be real older. Hardly anybody's ever overweight. And they looked at, why is it that why are they that way? And they traced it to a diet, particularly to a tea that many of them drink every day. And in the study, they talked about, if you drink this tea before 10 a.m. in the morning, people have great success in losing weight. And they're a combination of different locally grown herbs that they use over there. And the study was talking about a doctor with a patient that he had that was, overweight, and they needed to lose weight. And he shared with them in his country, over in Japan, particularly over in Okinawa, this particular formula that the locals always use to lose weight. And so he shared that. And of course, this is when I pick up the study and start reading all these ingredients and their historic use. Now, we're talking about nutraceutical, botanical herbs, if you will, that have been around forever, and they have a historic use and application of being effective in that area. So what I did is I identified, I think there is 20 some ingredients in this formula, and I identified those. And I was real curious. First of all, I wanted to make sure that we had those same ingredients listed in our library, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I found every single one. I think there's 23 ingredients. I found every single one of them except for one ingredient, which is really good. Okay. And of course, that one ingredient, I always turn it into the company so that they can add that to a future library so we can enhance it. And when I do these formulas like that, and if I'm missing something, the formula still works. It just works maybe a little bit better if you have that ingredient. Because I've noticed that when you look at the individual botanicals that make up a formula, there's always 2 and 3 and 4 different ingredients that do similar things. Okay, so what this is, people make a tea out of it and they drink it every day before noon, and it shows the results of people losing weight just naturally without having to do any special things. Now, I can tell this to you that I think any weight loss program, you'd be much more effective if you did things to help that process along. For example, one of the big things I've always learned is that if you cut down on simple carbs, sugar and simple carbs, it makes it a lot easier to lose weight. And eating a lot of fruits and vegetables and proteins, rather than simple carbs and sugars and bad oils. Bad oils are your vegetable oils. Your good oils are things like coconut oil. Let me see, there's, I'm trying to remember the different names there. Coconut oil is my favorite. It is one of the favorite oils. And then there's actually even butter. You can use butter and lard and things like that. Those are actually good oils to use. Vegetable oils, the ones made from vegetables, they're very inflammatory to the body. And when you have inflammation in the body, it causes the body to gain weight. So, but any event, what I wanted to do is share with you why this is different than if you went out and bought this formula. Now, this formula that I put together had 23 ingredients. If you went out and tried to buy all those, it becomes pretty expensive. Okay. And the other thing that one should know, that in the research that I have done for years, over 30 years, doing this 2-3 hours a day, I've connected a lot of dots, and I've discovered that for people to lose weight, there has to be the right attitude. Some people can lose weight really good and others not so much. And it's connected to how we think. I mean, this might surprise people, but it's really, there's some really great research to support this. When you look at what we do at Limbic Arc is not giving you the botanical, it's giving you the information associated or correlated with that botanical. Now, I'm going to try to help you make sense of that, what that really means, because we, as human beings, we have we have intelligence. Okay, our intelligence is comprised of our conscious and subconscious thought, and our subconscious thought is much more powerful than our conscious thought. In fact, think of it this way: if you had a little magnet, okay, and your little magnet, say an inch cube, just a little magnet, and you put it on the table and you had some paper clips close to it, you notice that the paper clips, are attracted to the magnet and they attach to it. But yet you don't see anything. It's invisible. That energy that attracts that metal to the magnet, no one sees that. But I mean, it's invisible, but yet it's real. It works. And then let's take a look and let's compare that small 1-inch cube magnet to our conscious. That's our conscious representation. Okay. Now our subconscious is enormous. It's used in our subconscious. Everything exists. We can create anything. We can do anything if we know how to access our subconscious. Now our subconscious, in comparison to size to that little tiny magnet, our consciousness, would be like comparing that little 1-inch cube magnet to the size of your house, a magnet the size of your house, okay? And the power of attraction that subconscious would have, if you could maybe put paper clips, 500 feet away, and the size of that house magnet would attract those paper clips that far, you see? So I'm using the example of magnets because it works very closely to how our conscious and subconscious are the things that we emote and think about. We actually create and attract to us, just like magnets. Okay, and it's one of the things that most people don't understand, how humans are created and how we're formed. That our thought process and the things that we think about all the time, whether they're good things or whether they're bad things, we actually create that kind of reality. And it also affects our health in a positive or a negative way, depending on our thought process. I'll show you how this is all connected to Limbic Arc when I get through with this example. But in any event, our thoughts are very important. And so Dr. Cook, when he created this, I don't know that this is my way of me understanding and interpreting what he's done. We haven't had conversations about this aspect of it because he just created what he created. I'm interpreting my experiences to what he created and why it's so effective. For example, he has what is called the biofeedback portion of the program. Now, I've referred to as biofeedback. Biofeedback is our ability of our subconscious to interface with a library of things, okay? It allows our body's intelligence, which is our subconscious, to actually interface with computer language, okay? And I'll see if I can explain that, but on our body's intelligence can actually identify the specific things that's in a library and of botanicals and identify what your body wants and needs. In other words, it looks at that informationally and says, oh, okay, out of these 600 ingredients, it will address and find the ones that it needs to bring it back into balance. And it even prioritizes it and references which one's more important than the others. Now, that mechanism, what Dr. Cook created there, is a proprietary patent pending science that he's put together. But at the end of the day, what it really does, it allows our innate intelligence, which is our subconscious, to actually select the things that it needs informationally. Now, why is information, what does information have to do with a comparison between if you bought a product, a physical product with botanicals, okay, ingredients and everything, which one's more effective? Or is it better to use both of them? Well, the best way to answer that is for me to help you understand that our bodies are created to harvest information. Now, we're not taught this in school, okay? We're taught about the biochemical processes of how when we eat something, how our body breaks it down into chemicals, processes it, sends it to through digestion, circulation to the cell. The cell grabs those chemicals and absorbs it to a point to where that's how we were healthy and strong. And we get energy and makes us strong and all that kind of things. That's what a standard school teaches us. But this is far beyond that. See, if you take a look at what these physical biochemicals are made up of, these physical things that we think is physical, they're made up of stuff, okay? What are those building blocks? Those building blocks, when you break them down to their lowest common denominator of what they are, you'll find out that it is not physical at all. It's energy, and it contains information. Now, why is that important? Well, our body, if I was to, you guys are looking at me, I'm looking at you. Everything around us seems to be physical, right? I mean, we live in a world that we've interpreted as a physical world. But when you break it down to what this world and we are comprised of, we're not physical. When you take it down to the lowest level of what things are made up of, everything is energy and it's information. In fact, in the study of quantum physics, you'll find out that the standard studies show that everything in our reality is a hologram. Holograms are energy and information, okay? And including us. So our body's energy field. Now that's the next thing. When I look at you and I see, your faces and your body and the thing where you're at, these are energy fields, and the information to balance these energy fields is what we're harvesting. Why is that important? It's because all of us every single day have our energy fields disrupted. And it's disrupted through stress. It's disrupted through chemicals, toxins in our life. It's disrupted because of lack of nutrition. And all these things create a void in our energy field. And if we have a perfect energy field, our health and our bodies will be perfect, okay? And when you look at when we're eating good food and we're taking good supplements and all these things like that, our body at the end of the day, it's not just, taking those nutrients, those chemical nutrients and digesting it in the body. It does that, but it also at the same time is harvesting the information associated with those, and it comes in to balance our energy field. Now, the biggest problem that we have, and I'm just going back through a lot of years of research, the biggest problem we have today, and the reason why I believe what Dr. Cook's put together in Limbic Arc, what he's done, is that I believe it's a significantly better mousetrap than taking supplements and eating food, although we need to have that stuff, okay? But at the end of the day, we're not getting the information harvested from those supplements, from that food, because of something in our modern lifestyle. The something in our modern lifestyle happens to be toxins, okay? We are loaded with toxins, okay? Another thing, we have something that's called nutrient competition. It's something else that interferes with proper nutrients coming into our system and harvesting the information associated with those nutrients. That's messed up, and I'll explain that in a minute. And the other thing that's happening is that it's more modern, and it is electromagnetics. We are negatively exposed to electromagnetics. I mean, heck, we're talking in a Zoom conference call right now. Okay, that's all electromagnetics. Okay, when we talk on our phones, when you're close to cell towers, even the electricity in the walls behind us where we're sitting set up electromagnetic fields. Electromagnetics over the years, and I've studied this, and it goes back 100 years. Okay, all electromagnetics are harmful, throws off all the stuff that doesn't need. You know what it doesn't need? Eliminates the proteins and the RNA. Proteins and RNAs coming from our cells are the same substance that are called viruses. We are actually creating our own viruses, and it's being initiated through electromagnetics. And there's tons of research out there now that supports that. Now, I'm sharing all this with you because we do not live in a perfect world. And because we don't live in that perfect world, we are unable to assimilate nutrients from our natural environment. Let me give you an example. And I've used this many times, okay? Dr. Cook always, originally shared with me a story of a young lady that came into his lab before the days of what we have here. And she was suffering from what he observed to be the symptoms of scurvy. And scurvy is a deficiency of vitamin C. Now, when he looks at, first thing a practitioner would do is say, well, geez, it looks like you're probably not getting enough vitamin C in your body. So let's look at the foods you're eating. Well, she's eating foods that are rich in vitamin C. She's even taking vitamin C supplements. So how is it that she could be deficient or showing the signs of deficiency of vitamin C, which is scurvy? And so what he did is he provided her the information component of vitamin C, which he's been playing around with this for a long time. So he gave her the vitamin C, what we call an info boost today, and very shortly her symptoms disappeared. Now, when I heard that story a couple years ago from Dr. Cook, maybe 3 years ago, here's the dots that I connected. The dots that I connected were this, because I've been doing so much research on health and nutrition and chemistry and biology and quantum physics and biofeedback, hypnotherapy, all these disciplines for 30 some years. And the dots that I connected, it just came to me that, well, what's really happening here is we know that we're loaded with toxins. One of the things that toxins do, they disrupt the microbiome in the gut, so we don't make the vitamins and enzymes and things we need to make. But more importantly, they block the receptors that allow the vitamin C biochemicals to handshake at the cellular level. It blocks that, okay, and I'm using that as an example, but the receptors get blocked, and therefore the vitamin C never gets into the cell, and it becomes deficient. It's just like you never ate it at all. So in our day and age today, we are suffering, and many, in fact, if you look at what Dr. Linus Pauling said, who's, you know who he is, he's a twice Nobel Prize winner in medicine. He said that if for over an extended period of time, if you have a deficiency in these, when there's a deficiency of nutrients. Now, if you look at what the historic application of alternative health practitioners have been doing for many decades, the first thing they want to do is say, to make you strong and healthy, we have to make sure that you have the right nutrients in your body and minerals and such. And that's the first thing they do. But you know something, in the last few years, they've changed that whole, and it's still really important. We still need to get the nutrients in the body to be healthy and strong. But they've changed that. They've changed it because they said the first thing now we have to do is we have to get rid of the toxins in our body, because the toxins block the nutrients, and therefore we solve that problem first before we can provide the nutrients. So standard healthcare now in alternative health is that strategy. Now, what we have in Limbic Arc, and the reason why I believe it is I call it an insurance policy. I think it is significantly better than all the formulas and nutrients and things that live out in the world out there, for a number of reasons. First of all, you can try stuff and take it very cost effectively, okay, almost instantly, and you can send it anywhere in the world. The second thing is that because it is not, it's like the energy waves coming from that magnet, okay? You can't see it, but it's still there. It's real, okay? And the same thing that we have with Limbic Arc, the information that's attached to the energy that comes into our field to balance our field, okay, is not blocked by physical biochemistry. In other words, for example, the typical pathway that when you eat something, whether it be food or whether it be a supplement, okay, the body breaks that down through the digestive process into its corresponding unique phytochemicals, digests it, eventually sends it to the circulation, bloodstream, to the cell. At the cellular level, it finds the corresponding receptor for that nutrient, and it goes through that receptor like a tube, and it deposits it into the cell, and that's how we get fed, okay? Because we're loaded with toxins, that process is interrupted and we're not getting the nutrients. But when you take Limbic Arc, that same information of those nutrients that are not physical, as we know physical is, it comes directly into our personal field. Our personal field is what's lacking the information associated with lacking, say, vitamin C. Okay, our body normally harvests that vitamin C out of the foods and things we eat energetically, but now that process isn't happening. We're not getting that information because the physical process of toxins are blocking that handshake. So when I see what we're doing with Limbic Arc, we are taking the information which is not physical, the standard biochemical pathways from eating something and I digested, setting the circulatory system, handshaking through the receptors in the cells. That typical standard biochemical pathway it doesn't go that route, so therefore it can't be blocked by a physical toxin. It comes directly into our field, and our body finally says, "Oh, finally, you gave me the vitamin C I was looking for." And that's what happens when Dr. Cook experienced this thing with this young lady. You realize, oh my gosh, you know, the energy information, and by the way, it's the same stuff. That same energy information from that physical thing that you've eaten is the same stuff that you're getting through the quantum field. Now, let's take a look at that process. So, and let me give you an overview here. What Dr. Cook has put together is, it's kind of like if you were to walk into a health food store, and everybody knows what they are, and you went up to the health food store owner and said, okay, here's my $100. I want you to give me your store, and I can use anything in here that I want at any time, as much as I want, for $100 a month. Would you do that for me? How many health food store owners would show you the door? Okay, that's not a very good deal for him, right? Well, that's exactly what we have here. Dr. Cook has found a way to identify all those kinds of things that are in a health food store, and it's an expanding library, getting bigger and bigger and bigger every month. But he's providing you the energy information of the physical botanicals, and it communicates directly to your personal field, your energy field, bypassing the standard biochemistry pathways that we humans used when we eat food and harvest that information. And it's just that in our modern world, we're not doing a good job at that because of the toxins that are blocking everything. And so let's take a look at something. Let's say, now one of the studies I remember, I think everybody will recognize this. How many of you live in a place where when you look up in the skies, you see these long, thin trails of clouds? Some people call them chemtrails, okay? We have them here in the United States. And for the longest time, people, governments and everything have been telling people these chemtrails, because a lot of people say, hey, these chemtrails have chemicals in it, they're harmful to us. And they've been telling us that that's all conspiracy theory. Well, about 6 months ago, the military basically came out and says, okay, you caught us. Well, here's what happened. We had scientists actually go and harvest the chemtrail with going up in planes and getting the substance and finding out, oh, there's a lot of yucky stuff in here. Okay, they analyzed and they put it in a lab and they realized, and they took it to the government, and the government basically said, okay, you caught our hands in the cookie jar. Okay, so we'll confess, yeah, these chemtrails have these chemicals in it, and the reason why we're doing this is because we are geoengineering our skies so we can change the planet to be warmer or colder based on what they're trying to do. Okay, but you know what they're doing? They're putting things in it, chemicals. One of the biggest chemicals they're putting in it is aluminum. Now, in another study by a doctor, I can't remember his first name, last name's Klinghart, and he's one of these, he's a medical doctor, okay, and he discovered that when he tests humans, people here in the United States particularly, he says, we have the highest load of aluminum in our bodies in any place he's ever tested. And not just a little bit, like 100 times greater. It's huge, okay? Now, aluminum, as any metal in the body, is toxic. It's a neurotoxin. It's also connected to Alzheimer's and dementia and all those kind of things, but it also interferes with all mental function, and it's just unhealthy to the body. It creates inflammation. There's even people showing it's tinnitus, things like tinnitus and things like that. Well, at the end of the day, so Dr. Klinghart says, they were asking him, what can we do to help solve that problem? How, if we know that we got this stuff falling down from the sky, we're breathing it, it's getting in our water, it's getting on our ground, and it's getting into our plant life, we're eating the plant life, and we're getting this high doses of aluminum, just for starters. There's other things, but aluminum's one of them, and we're getting into our body, and here's what it's doing in our body as a toxin. How do we solve that problem? So Dr. Klinghart says, well, you know, in my research, I found something that's really effective, okay? And it's a botanical. You can actually go out and find it and buy it as an herb, okay? And it's called horsetail. Horsetail is a botanical that actually binds to aluminum and carries it out the body. Now, another ingredient happens to be zeolite. Zeolite does that effectively too. It's in our library, it's called clinoptonite, okay? And it's a mineral that actually binds to the aluminum and helps carry it out of the body. Now, we can take that information and put it in our library as one of our ingredients. If your body selects this, because what Dr. Cook's put together is the ability for your innate intelligence, which is your subconscious. It's the big house magnet, okay? So it actually participates when you run what is called the voice activated spark scan. This is your personal intelligence interfacing with the quantum world. And what it does, it says, okay, you have anything that's rated in the 70, 80, 90% range might be concerning that you have an exposure of aluminum in your body. If it's suggesting that you need horsetail, if it's suggesting that you need clinoptonite, and if especially it's in a 90% range, it's more concerning. So now we have the ability of our body. It knows our body, by the way, our body's intelligence knows everything. It knows every phytochemical within a botanical, and there could be 200 phytochemicals in just one botanical, okay? It knows everything that it wants and needs. And so what we want to do, our body, it goes into the system, it looks at that and identifies horsetail, clinoptonite, and it says, okay, this is what you have to have, and it rates it and how important it is. When you turn that on, the body, it comes into our personal energy field. It doesn't have to go through the standard biochemical process of eating it and being digested, go through the circulatory system, to our cells, to the receptors. It doesn't have to do all that. It's instant. In fact, it travels faster than the speed of light. So it's instant. It's instant thought, okay? When you receive this, the body's already starting to help identify the things in the body that's problematic, okay, the aluminum, with the intent, it's designed with the intent to start moving that out of the body. So it's very effective. You know, it's kind of like walking into a health food store and say, I want it for, here's my $100. I want everything in here. I want as much as I want, as many times as I want. And on top of that, our program's even better than that, because what it does is your body, through the system, identifies specifically what it wants and what it needs and prioritizes that. Now that's an amazing thing. Okay, now I want you to also understand why this is important, because when you study quantum physics, as I have done over the years, I've come to the conclusion that there's some really cool stuff here. Quantum physics is really fun when you understand it and know how to use it. And most of us as humans have never been taught the effective way how to use quantum physics. And Dr. Cook, when he created this system, he interfaced it with the biofeedback system, which is the voice scan, okay, the how it communicates through the conscious and subconscious, and how it interfaces with the quantum realm. Now, in fact, the name of our company is called Limbic Arc. It got its name because the limbic system is the system of organs in our brain that, and I personify it by calling it the gatekeeper. Okay, the gatekeeper is the guy that communicates between conscious and subconscious. It's the guy that sits between the little tiny magnet, that inch cube, and the big house magnet. Okay, and it's the guy that makes sure the information that goes back and forth is certain type of information, because see, the consciousness is so small in comparison, and even though it's fast and smart, it's so small and tiny compared to the big house magnet that it can never absorb all that information that lives in the subconscious. So it specifically goes after specific information when it's communicating. Dr. Cook thought that was so important that he named the company after that process, called the Limbic Arc, because again, that's the quarterback, that's the gatekeeper between conscious and subconscious. It is the key to making this whole process work. And here's the reason why. When you I've come to the conclusion that the quantum field, even though it has a lot of mysterious things going on, I've discovered that it's a gift that's given to us by a higher power. Because the way it acts, when you look at the scientific studies, it acts upon intelligent input. Intelligent input is us. It's our conscious and subconscious. And we've learned that the subconscious has the bigger voice than the conscious. And it communicates with the quantum world. And the quantum world, it's kind of like, if you could personify that as this being that's, it's a servant. It says, okay, whatever the intelligence wants, that's what will provide it. Now, it provides that by creating, because it's all energy. Everything in our reality is energy. It creates fields for us. So if I, for example, am emoting all the time, and I'll use the example. Let's say, let's say I don't know anything about this, and I'm a person that, woe is me, I'm a victim type thinking guy, and the world's been bad to me, I'm so, all these bad things. If you're always emoting those negative thoughts, then the quantum world, it finally gets to the quantum world through the subconscious. It's a slower process, but eventually gets there. And the quantum world looks at that, the servant says, oh, this person over here loves this reality of being a victim. So it starts creating an energetic field that is formed of electrons and photons, and it actually starts being formed, and it creates, and it forms your reality, and it gives you more of the reality that now keeps you into that mode of being a victim, because it gives you, it looks at that and says, oh, this person loves this victimhood, so let's create more of the same reality for the person, so they're always a victim. But conversely, you can do the opposite of that. If a person is emoting and thinking all the time wonderful things and rainbows and love and kindness and gladness and happiness and joy and all these kind of things. The quantum world, the servant there looks at that. So this person it loves, life and is really happy. We better create a field of reality that will create more of a happiness scenario for that person, so that they'll always experience happiness. Now, I've interpreted. Now, there are studies, scientists that show how intelligence interfaces with the quantum world and how electrons respond. And because of that relationship, I've come to the conclusion that the quantum field is a servant. It's a servant, but you have to learn how to access it and get what you want in life, because you can get anything what you want in life if you know how this works. What Dr. Cook has put together is the training wheels version of how to accomplish that. And yes, it's limited to nutraceuticals, which is a good thing, because we all know nutraceuticals are valuable to the human body. In fact, the human body and plant life in the world are all so much connected that we have receptors on our cells that are only found in phytochemicals found in plant life in the earth. And they're there for a reason, to help harvest that information and make our energy field whole again. So we're connected that way. So Dr. Cook put together this program that actually accomplishes that. So we actually go ahead, our intelligence, our innate intelligence, our subconscious helps in the process identifying the botanicals it needs to bring its energy field back into balance. Okay, it bypasses the typical biochemical pathways, so we don't have to worry about that energy information not getting there like it does when we eat food and take supplements, because it can be blocked through the various things we talked about. We talked about toxins. Nutrient competition is another thing that blocks it, and that's kind of a good thing. That's where we eat a whole bunch of foods of the same that have all different nutrient compositions in it. We eat them all together, and when those different nutrients come to a receptor, and by the way, receptors do double duty. They can process vitamin C, vitamin D, iron, magnesium, and there's certain ones that process multiple things. So if, for example, the vitamin C got there first, well, it might block the vitamin A and all the Bs and the iron and all that. And so all these things that we think are good, it's in our food, it didn't handshake there because the vitamin A got there first. And that's what's called nutrient competition. This is more of a newer science now, but that also has the same effect of blocking nutrients in our body. At the end of the day, we have to have nutrients to be healthy and strong. And because of how we eat, we're interfering with that process again. The last thing that's more important for us, and reason why everybody needs to have this technology for this reason, in fact, if you just got the technology for this one reason, it's well worth its weight in gold, because I believe in the near future, you're going to see a lot of sick people on our planet because of electromagnetics. Electromagnetics, I'm telling you, is the worst thing that's come into our existence. It's worse than the toxins. It's worse than everything, okay? It will affect your health. It affects your biology, your cells, your immune system, and we guarantee you're not going to have good health. I believe it's going to kill a lot of people. As they roll out this 5G electromagnetic technology, okay, I'm telling you, it is so disruptive to human biology. In fact, there are studies now, and I've read a number of these that show that we've been battling worldwide with this coronavirus thing. There's hard studies that show that it's not the coronavirus, it's the 5G impact in human cells that's creating the virus, and they're using the virus as a cover for the implementation and rollout of 5G. Now, if that be the case, and I've read solid studies that support that from independent scientists around the world, if that be the case, what can we do to solve this problem so we're not victims, okay? The easiest way is to find a way, either not use the technology, and that's almost impossible, okay? You might as well live in a cave if you did that. But if we use the technology, which everybody is, how do we block it so that it doesn't have that negative impact? I've had many conversations with Dr. Cook over the last year or so to create something in a way that would accomplish that. And now, and your body selects 5G or 4G or radio wave towers or infrared wave or anything like that. It's electromagnetics. It's your body's telling you, your innate intelligence is telling you that you've got an exposure to electromagnetics. Your body doesn't like it. It's being hurt, and you need to be able to neutralize that. Now, he designed this with the intent to do that. Okay, I've tested it many times, and it works so effectively. When I had 5G electromagnetic exposure, and I turned that on, the next time I run a voice scan, which is typically 10 days later, it was, it dropped like 20 to 30 points. And if I still continue to run it, it would just drop off the radar. If I don't do anything to solve that problem, however, it'll come back. Okay, and so I know that's the reason why we need this. And so if you have something of any of the electromagnetic imponderables that show up on your scan, and it continually does that, then you want to be able to identify those things and always run those, because it disrupts the interference, the electromagnetic pattern in your personal field. It's your personal field that we want to keep always perfect. We want to try to keep your personal energy field in perfection, because your biology follows. Every single day, everything we do, it's trying to interrupt your personal field. At the quantum level, it's the personal field, your energy field, that we're trying to keep balanced, and that's what we're harvesting information to complete the balancing of your personal energy field. And in life, the things that we do when we eat foods and we take supplements and all this, we're doing the same thing, but we're harvesting the information after it handshakes at the cellular level, and we're not doing a good job there because of the toxins that are blocking the receptors. And there's other things too we didn't discuss because we didn't have time, and it's the microbiome and how it disrupts that as well. But at the end of the day, toxins are probably the biggest cause of what we have, and why people are so unhealthy. They have so many issues with their health. It's because they're not getting the nutrients the body traditionally needs to make it healthy and strong. And so again, toxins are at the root of all this. All the studies are showing that. And now on top of that, we have the electromagnetics. That is another form of toxins that come into our environment that's hurting our biology. I can't believe the time has gone so fast. I'm looking down at the time here. We've got just a few minutes left there. So let me turn the time back over to you. Maybe you have some specific questions do you want to ask?
Yeah. First, thank you very much, Ron. That's a lot of information. I know you were able to answer some of the questions that the people here have in their mind. But I know, especially for new people, there's still so many questions that come up with the load of information that you gave to us tonight. Also, maybe, I don't know if you still have time, if some people have some specific questions.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's take care of some of the questions.
Yeah. So, okay, if you have any question, specifically for those who are using the technology already, and you are experiencing some challenges or observing something that might be addressed, this is your chance to ask question to Ron. So, who wants to ask question?
Hi, Ron.
Hi.
This is Lolita. So I just want to clarify. I saw that in the quantum.
Oh, you disappeared on me.
Oh, we lost the.
There she's coming back. Okay, go ahead. We lost you there for a minute.
Sorry. There's a formula in the quantumnomads.net. It is called the Herpinator. What is that formula for?
Okay. What? Say that the name again.
Funginator.
Oh, the funginator. The funginator.
It's the last formula that I saw it there. One of the last formula is the Herpinator. Herpinator.
Or Herpinator.
Okay, the Herpinator. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Now, okay, I'm trying to remember. Okay, I remember that formula. Okay, that formula was based on herpes. Okay, the
Yep.
herpes virus. So that if a person had, or no person has herpes, okay, herpes virus, okay, that these are traditional ingredients and botanicals that have been used successfully for hundreds of years that have been effective with treating people who have herpes. Okay, and so that formula is placed together from some science that of ingredients, botanical ingredients that have been effective in the use against herpes.
Thank you.
Ron. Okay.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay, Ron. Question. Because I've experienced it twice already. I used the technology to help my first my friend, and the other one my brother. I enrolled them with the technology, and I did the voice scan for them. And to my surprise, it worked. So, does it really work like that, or what's the reason behind that? Why it's working in those situations?
Oh, okay. When you said something, and I
It's
hadn't
like a
listened.
yeah, it's like a surrogate spark scanning.
Oh,
I did a spark scan for someone.
okay, that's good. Now, so that you know, Dr. Cook is working on a program that we can do that in the future. Everybody can use it, okay, that way. But what you're referring to is called remote boosting, okay? And
Oh,
remote boosting, not everybody can do it, okay? It has to do with your personal intent and integrity and love and knowing how to transfer the energy coming to you to them. In other words, if you're a surrogate and you're doing it for somebody, you can do a spark scan and say, okay, when you're doing the voice scan, you can basically, I'm doing this voice scan as a surrogate for Mary Smith or
yes.
Jim Smith or whatever it might be. And the quantum, your quantum intelligence knows everything. It knows exactly what your intent is. So it's going to go and look at John Smith and say, okay, I'm going to give you the formula based on John Smith. This isn't yours, okay? And so it will create it that way. And therefore, it's going to be John Smith's formula, if you will. And it does work.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it has to do with your innate intelligence. Your innate intelligence knows everything. It's just you're basically asking it, okay, I'm going to be the surrogate for John Smith. So it gives you the formula for John Smith.
Okay. Okay. I think this will not be the last time that we will need you to.
Yeah, sure. And invite me. And by the way, I want to also share with you, and I haven't done it, but I always do this. I always have to have a disclaimer. We live in a world that we have to have disclaimers on stuff. So I want to share that here at the end of it. All the information that I share with you is commentary or opinion and is protected under free speech laws. And much of this information is based on my personal experiences, as well as my interpretations of current science, and is provided for educational purposes only. And it's not intended as a substitute for professional advice of any kind, or any of the products or services that are discussed intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Okay? And so I appreciate you guys inviting me. Let's do this again. There's so much to cover. This is a fascinating subject, and there's some new cool things that the company's coming up with this next year that's really amazing. Like, for example, so that this to let you know, Dr. Cook is working on what I call emotional imponderables, but this is the ability for us to focus on what is imprinted in our subconscious that could be affecting us negatively, okay? And we don't know what that is. And there's a way to reach that, identify and neutralize it. At least that's how it's designed, so that we can start programming with the right kinds of thoughts to send the right message to the quantum world, the servant, to give us a reality based on what we're trying to achieve. Emotions may be the biggest thing that we have to control our health and our reality. and we're very close to having that launched here in this year.
Wow.
Oh, that's good.
Wow.
So any other question from the participants? You need another session to raise your question.
Another
Well,
session.
anyway,
Interesting to know more about the technology.
yeah. So you can ask that question if you have any question about the technology, because Ron is expert to that. He can explain it to you better than we.
Just know that it's amazing. I think the best way for us to have experiences is to share with others what we've done and what's done for us. I can tell you, look, I'm 71 and a half years old. Okay. I've had asthma for 10 years and it's progressively got worse. And in using the voice scan, it's been identifying things that my body wants and needs. It's like peeling an onion. And I woke up one day after about 3 months of doing this and realized, oh my gosh, all of my asthma symptoms are gone. They're totally gone. The coughing, the tightness in the chest, the short of breathing when you do exercise, it's all gone. And I know it came from this technology because when I went back and looked at the information that it selected, these were things like one botanic was called Lomatium, and it says this is for used historically by Native Americans for taking out and killing pathogens deep-seated in lung tissue. And I'm thinking maybe that's what I had, and it got rid of it. But at the end of the day, I can tell you that my personal experience is that I have no more asthma whatsoever. And I've had this for 10 years and it's totally gone.
Oh, good. And
Ron,
Yeah.
what infobus did you use? Because I have a problem to like the coughing on and off. It's a dry cough and the doctor can't find. So
Yeah, and that's how I had that as well. I had that as well. I didn't have, there's actually an info boost on quantum nomads, okay, that has to do with coughing and lung and coughing, but that isn't what happened. Mine happened as a result of doing the voice scan, the voice activated spark scan, over a period of, it took almost 4 months for me, and it disappeared. And so it's like peeling an onion. It's finding different things a little bit at a time and correcting those. And eventually my body solved that problem, whatever that was. But one of the things that I found for me that worked, my body was identifying, was an herb called Lomatium, Lomatium. It's a Native American herb. And what it does, historically, it's been used to kill viruses, bacteria, and fungus deep-seated in lung tissue. And for me, that's what I believe that's what solved my problem. And my body was always identifying this one herb called Lomatium. And eventually, when the Lomatium dropped off the radar after a period of months and it disappeared, that's when I discovered I had no more coughing. I had no more tightness in chest. I wasn't. If I did exercise, I was winded. That all gone. I have none of that. I feel like I'm 20 years younger because of that.
wow. There's something that I would like to share, especially for those newcomers, because last month I've been exposed to COVID-19 virus. I had lunch with 4 people. I mean, 4 of us had lunch. So 3 of them were tested positive with the coronavirus, and only me tested negative. Now, 2 of those were using Limbic Arc. They tested positive, even if they're using Limbic Arc. Now, knowing those 2 people, because I know them for a long time, they used to use a weak immune system, just like me. Since I came to arrive here in Canada in 1996, every year without fail, during flu season, I get it. Now, since I started using Limbic Arc, in 2018. So I've been using it now for more than 2 years. Never, not even once, that I got, I stayed in bed because of flu. Or sometimes I have some like a flu-like symptom, something like that. But, it doesn't get worse. So I can advise those who are using Limbic Arc, use that defense or immune defense Infoboost. That's the one that I'm using, especially in this very trying situation. So, yeah, that is something that I can share with you.
And by the way, I will comment on that as well. What you told your story there, the same things happened to me. I got the flu every season, and I do not get the flu anymore.
Yeah.
It's just I'm around my grandchildren and everything. They in the past they've got me sick. Now I don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah. So that is one thing that I'm very thankful for with the Limbic Arc. And for those people who know me, for more than 20 years, I suffered with gout and inflammation. And I can say now, sometimes I get some symptoms but that happen when I abuse it. Like I eat a lot of, prohibited food. But otherwise, if I eat regularly, normally, no problem. So that is a big change in my life. At 66, I think Limbic Arc has done a lot of things for me and for my family. That's why I became interested with this product. Otherwise, you won't see me. You won't see me here. See, it solved it really helped me. It really solved my problem, and that is what drives me to help the company, promote it, especially to my friends, my relatives, because just don't close your eyes, your heart, be open. And I think this product will be able to help you and your family and your loved ones.
I believe it's the most amazing product on the planet. It's so cost effective. It's like buying your own health food store for $100 a month. And on top of that, you can have up to 8 of your family members use it for $10 each. What a bargain that is. And you can ship it anywhere in the world instantly to anybody. There's no shipping or handling. It's an amazing technology, and the library continues to expand and expand. We have the botanical library, we have the imponderables, we have things in there like the fungus and mold. The fungus and mold, by the way, is a big problem for people in the world where they get affected, and it's one of those mystery diseases that people have. Western medicine doesn't know what's going on, and yet you could be exposed and have fungus and mold growing in your body. This technology identifies the fact that you've got that exposure, and then through the imponderable process, it was designed for the intent to disrupt it so that it solves the problem for you. So there's so many cool things that this thing does, and it's the most cost-effective way I know to being healthy and strong. And I think the biggest reason why you're having experience that you're having and I'm having experience I'm having is because at the end of the day, we're finally getting the information that we need, that the nutrient and mineral information that we need to make our personal energy fields whole. And even though it's being attacked every day, we always, every time we do a voice scan, it's helping to balance that so that we have everything we need to be healthy and strong. So it looks like we probably went about 15 minutes over. So I appreciate being with all you guys. Let's do this again. And yeah, let's build this thing. And I'll, as soon as I know about some of the things the company's coming out with, duplication tools, I'll make sure you get that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes.
See you guys.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ron.
You bet.
Yeah.
But that's very interesting.
Those